Let us note an interesting point in the history of video games. With the exception of Grand Theft Auto, GTA, and the Postal, very few medium and large budget video games have used American citizens as deadly targets. Much like 1980s action movies, most video games used a less specific image by default, devoid of features of an ordinary average person. In earlier shooters, the antagonists were Nazis, foreign terrorists, with no distinct national, political, or religious characteristics, and creatures that were definitely unrelated to the human species such as robots, aliens, zombies, or not zombies. Even more rare occurrence was the depiction of a certain clearly defined type of citizens as deadly targets. Americans, as in the case of Far Cry 5, or any type characterizing representatives of a certain nation as an enemy. It was preferred to portray antagonists in a broad and less contradictory and provocative manner. In other words, gamers had an amorphous, generalized image of the enemy in their subconsciousness, one they couldn't see in real everyday life, and the potential consequences of such games were less dangerous for society. Even if there was a phenomenon of game transfer to real life, a gamer did not become a threat to society. The game transfer phenomena, GTP, is a recorded and researched occurrence among gamers, and it has been discussed in detail in the previous article. A number of media outlets and critics drew attention to the key artwork of Far Cry 5. From the moment the game was announced, discussions emerged surrounding its choice of setting, which can be interpreted as an aggressive shift in the first-person shooter genre. The argument was that Far Cry 5 was the first game in the series to cast as enemies a group representing specific aspects of American culture: religiosity, separatism, and gun culture. The enemies are no longer zombies, aliens, Nazis, or isolated targets that require skill to kill, but American citizens. This is no longer just a game that represents the standard understanding of violence in video games. It's a game that makes it acceptable to kill virtual versions of a particular group of people based on particular traits. In this case, Americans labeled as cultists. It's a game that changes the sights of the first-person shooter genre by targeting, in this case, people within the United States. Considering additional aspects that will be discussed later in the article, it's important to clarify that Far Cry 5 effectively renders it acceptable to kill characters who, by all attributes, represent the majority of people living in the USA.